Hey, hey, forest friends! It's a beautiful day today, and I'm excited to see you. I decided that I wanted to be a fox today, so you might notice that I have an extra set of eyes and a nose and a little bit of whiskers, some big ears. And today I was going to read a story about some really cool animals, and it's called Ever Heard of an Ardawolf? So we're going to learn about some cool animals in this book today. And then we'll go on to our activity for the day, which is going to be making pinwheels. And we'll make them out of paper, and we'll use one of the sticks from our backyard. And then the only other thing that we'll need is a pair of scissors and a safety pin to do the rest of the work. And this pinwheel making, it's really fun. You can make it at different colors. And what I've been really enjoying about my pinwheel is that I get to really connect with the wind through it. And I've been noticing there's been a lot of winds coming lately. And so we'll get to see our pinwheel spin and spin and spin and spin, which I'm excited about. And so first we'll play this drum. Just kidding, we'll read this book. And again, it's called Ever Heard of an Ardawolf? Whoa. Alright. Ever heard of an Ardawolf? The Ardawolf is not really a wolf at all. It's a member of the hyena family and lives in Africa. Though it's a meat eater, like wolves and hyenas, it has to be satisfied with termites and insects because its jaws are weak and its teeth are small and widely spaced. That Ardawolf. How about a vicuña? The vicuña is a member of the camel family and lives up above the tree line in the Andes Mountains of South America. Vicuñas have extra large hearts to pump great quantities of blood that are needed to provide enough oxygen to live in such a high elevation. There is our vicuña. Or a loris? Lorises live deep in the tropical forests of southern Asia. They spend most of their time in trees, where they climb so slowly and carefully that they don't even rustle the leaves. But their speed is lightning quick when they are hunting the lizards and insects that they like to eat. Here's the loris. Or a pangolin. Kind of sounds like penguin. The pangolin looks like a large reptile, but it's actually an African Asian mammal. It has no teeth at all, so it swallows insects whole. It eats small rocks and pebbles too. The rocks and the pebbles stay in the pangolin's stomach to grind up its food. Ever seen a vizcacha? Vizcachas are curly-tailed, rabbit-like rodents that live in large burrows that they often share with other animals, such as snakes, toads, and foxes. Vizcachas collect items like bones, rocks, trash, and jewelry to place on top of their burrows. Ever heard of a naked mole rat? The naked mole rat has almost no hair and lives in a maze of tunnels that digs in the ground with its big front teeth. Its lips close behind these teeth, which helps to keep dirt from getting into its mouth. It's easy to see why the naked mole rats rarely go above the ground. Or a horseshoe bat. There are more than 60 different kinds of horseshoe bats living in Asia, Africa, Australia, and Europe. They are only about 3 inches long with a 12-inch wingspan, and they can hover in mid-air like hummingbirds. They get their name from the horseshoe shape of their noses. Ever seen an okapi? The shy okapi lives in the tropical forests of Africa. It's a relative to the giraffe, and it has a tongue so long that it can reach around and lick the corners of its own eyes. All the way up to the corners of its eyes. Okapis use their strong tongues to grasp branches and pull off the leaves that they like to eat. Here's the okapi. Or a proboscis. Well, this is a proboscis monkey. The male proboscis monkey uses his nose like a horn to make loud calls to other monkeys in his group. His nose grows throughout his life, and when he is old, he is likely to have a nose so large that he has to hold it aside in order to eat. Females' noses are small and stubby. Or a solenodon. Solenodons are found only on certain islands in the West Indies. They have very long, flexible, rubbery noses that they use to feel about the little spaces where they might find the food they like. Insects, worms, small reptiles, frogs, and birds. They hunt at night. Have you ever met a platypus? The platypus is a very unusual animal. It has webbed feet and a duck-like bill, and it does not give birth to live young, as other mammals do. It lays eggs, and it has ribs in its neck like a snake. The platypus lives in Tasmania and eastern Australia. Platypus is one of my favorite animals. They're so fun and so active. How about a bush dog? The bush dog doesn't look like most other dogs, and it sometimes is called a vinegar fox. But it's a real dog. Its feet are webbed, and it's such a good swimmer that it often hunts fish and frogs in and under the water. Bush dogs live in Central and South America. Or a bush baby. Bush babies have huge eyes that help them see well enough in the dark to hunt at night. Bush babies hear well, too, but when they sleep, they fold their ears closed just as you would fold up a paper fan. They live in the forest of African bush, and their cry sounds like a human baby's. This must be why they're called a bush baby. Ever heard of a barusa? The barusa is a wild hog found on the islands of Indonesia. Males have 4 tusks that grow from their snouts. The upper tusks seem to have no purpose other than beauty. Barbusas like to dine out, and sometimes they swim from island to island to feast on new supplies of water, plants, and fruit. How about a wakari? The wakari is the only monkey of South and Central America that does not have a long tail. Its coat is shaggy, but its face is red and bald. When it spends time in the sun, its face becomes bright red, but if it lives in the shade, its face turns pale pink. Or an emperor tamarin. Emperor tamarins are squirrel-sized monkeys that live in a lowland rainforest of Peru, Bolivia, and Brazil. They were named by the 19th century explorers who thought that the Tamarians' elegant mustaches made them look like an emperor, William II. Ever seen a zorilla? Zorilla's relatives of the skunk live in Africa. When they are threatened, they fluff up their fur to look large. If that doesn't scare off the attacker, the zorilla screams, lifts its tail, and sprays the animal with a foul, stinky fluid. The smell is so bad that the attacker often passes out. How about a zebu? The zebu, like other cows, is sacred to the followers of the Hindu religion. A Hindu will not kill or even restrain these animals. They roam free about the cities and towns and often pick and choose food items from the stands of outdoor markets. Or a flying fox. Hey, I'm a fox. Flying foxes only eat fruits and flowers, and they're not really foxes. They are large bats with dog-like faces. Often they hang from trees with one foot and eat with the other. Hanging from branches, they sometimes look like pieces of fruit themselves. Ever heard of a horse? Of course! And we can tell you more. Here's some photos of some of the animals that we just read through. And that is the end of Ever Heard of an Ardawolf. Wow, there's so many animals in here that are really exciting and that we don't really get to see in our forests around here in Colorado. Well, now that the fox has read the Ardawolf book, I was thinking that we can move on to our activity of building pinwheels. And so I will show some pictures that will give us an example of how to do it, and I'll also write the instructions so you'll be able to follow along later. And I think that this activity is really good to do with our parents or our friends or family. Alright, so to build our pinwheels, we're going to use a square piece of paper. And the bigger your paper, the bigger the pinwheel. The smaller the paper, the smaller the pinwheel. And we're going to start with a square. And you can make it any colors that you would like. You can make it one color or many colors. I, for mine, used 4 different colors. And I stuck 4 small squares of paper together to make one big square. And then after I did that, I drew a diagonal line in the middle of each of the 4 squares, like this. Then I cut a partial line through each of the diagonal lines that I drew. Not all the way into the paper, just left about an inch or so in the middle, so that that pinwheel will hold on as it spins. And then, once I cut that slit, I folded every other corner into the center, like this. And then, to hold those foldings together, I put a push pin, or a thumbtack, or you can even put a nail, anything, maybe even like a stick that can go through, anything that's going to hold it and allow it to smoothly rotate in the wind. And you can add a small bead at the end of the push pin, or something soft, maybe even a little bit of like cotton or rubber, something that's going to keep the sharp edge from poking anyone. And then we're going to put our push pin into a stick, which we can find in our backyard. It can be a big stick or a small stick. Depending on the size of your paper, you can adjust that the size, or you can pick the size of the stick. And then, after you're all finished, you're going to stick your stick somewhere outside, and you have now a pinwheel. And this pinwheel will be really great for connecting us to the wind. We can watch if it goes really, really fast. It's probably a really, really windy day. And if it's not moving at all, we'll know that there's no breeze. Alright, forest friends, so that's the end of our video for today. And we'll meet back live in just a second so we can all say farewell to each other and sing our farewell song. And I'll see you real soon.